There are a lot of people talking about how you shouldn't use the scale to measure the progress you're making with your body. You should use the mirror. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my opinion on using the mirror to track your progress. A lot of people say, don't use the scale all the time because, the scale doesn't matter. There are people that, weigh less, but they look more muscular because, they have a lower body fat percentage. There are people that are weighing more and more and they think they're gaining muscle, but they're not. They're just getting fat. So people say you should use the mirror. And I actually disagree with this, okay? In a perfect world, yes, but there are two things, okay? In general, I'm not being sexist here, but in general, women may have problems with their body image. They may have, for instance, with anorexia. You look at the mirror, you're losing weight, you're getting skinny, you're disgustingly skinny, you're a skeleton, but you still think you're fat, okay, because that's what you see in the mirror. With men, there's something called muscle dysmorphia, okay? And what that means is basically it's like reverse anorexia, no matter how peaked your biceps are, no matter how ripped your abs are, you look in the mirror and you still think you're skinny. You still don't realize you're gaining muscle. So that's basically the reason that I say you should be careful about using the mirror. I mean, I think using the mirror is very important, but I think you should also be careful about using the mirror as a way to test your progress. For instance, I think I actually have a little bit of a problem with muscle dysmorphia, because a lot of times I'll be thinking to myself, and not necessarily muscle dysmorphia, but just in general, I cannot use the mirror to properly gauge my progress. Sometimes I'll look in the mirror and I'll think that I'm actually in pretty good shape, and then let's say I lose 5 pounds, and I'm kind of feeling around and I'm like, damn, I still have a lot of weight. Like I keep telling people, you never know how much, how out of shape you are until you start to lose some fat. I lose some fat and then I'm like, wait a minute, I still got a long way to go. So how fat was I last week when I thought I was looking, pretty good? And then on top of that, there are other things. For instance, let's say for some reason you have like an injury or a layoff and you get out of shape, okay? Like today you're looking at yourself and you're like, damn, I'm okay, but I really need to get in much better shape. And then something happens that you cannot work out for a couple weeks. You fall off the wagon with your diet maybe. You have an injury or for some reason you can't work out because of work or whatever, and you gain a bunch of weight and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, damn, I'm getting fat. And it's like, damn, I was in good shape like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago when I thought I was out of shape. So like I said, it's basically it's all a relative thing. I mean, if you compare yourself to somebody who's 500 pounds overweight, of course you look like you're in shape. If you're in shape, but you compare yourself to Mr. Olympia or Bruce Lee, it's like, yeah, of course you look fat. So it's really, really hard to go ahead and, get an accurate approximation of your progress just by looking in the mirror. And another thing about looking in the mirror is, it happens so gradually. Like if you lose a little bit of weight, and you look in the mirror every single day, several times a day, whatever, you won't really notice the progress you're making. So the two ways that I like to do this are, first of all, what I really like to do, like a more scientific way, is I measure every body part, upper, lower arms, upper, lower legs, chest, waist, and my weight. Once a week, Saturday morning, before I eat or drink anything, after I use the toilet, and write it down, and I compare exactly that, so I have cold hard facts. Because like, let's say for instance, I look at my arm, I look at my chest, and I think it's getting bigger because it looks awesome compared to like a few days ago or a few weeks ago or a few months ago. Well, let me put it like this. One guy said in like Muscle and Fitness a while ago, he's like, about bulking, he says, the fat lady at the circus has 20-inch arms, So like, let's say, I feel like my arms are getting bigger because they look more muscular. Maybe I just lost some fat. Maybe I even lost muscle with the fat. But because they're leaner, you see the muscle fibers more, your chest looks bigger. It's not bigger. It is more muscular, but it's not bigger. Okay, your biceps not bigger. You may be actually losing muscle, but in your mind, hey, my arms are popping out, peaking, my chest is striated, whatever. Hey, so you think you're actually looking better, but you're not. Okay, or in the reverse, my arm is looking bigger, Well, maybe you're just putting on some fat and maintaining the muscle. You know, maybe you're getting a little bit bigger, but not as big because there's a lot of fat going on. That's going to make, like I said, the fat lady at the circus has 20-inch arms. So maybe you're not really putting on muscle on your arms or your chest. You're just putting on fat on your body. So, like I said, you know, you might think you're not doing as well as you are. You might think you're doing better than you are. But if you measure yourself, okay, if you measure your arms, you'll know if they're getting bigger or not, okay? If you compare that to your waist, you know, your waist circumference, you'll find out what's going on. So like, you know, you'll know if you're gaining or losing muscle, gaining or losing fat. And another thing, it's kind of bro scientific, but it's something that I actually use. Women use it too. They always talk about it. You know, is the thing is where your clothes fit. You know, like I remember, you know, I have like a long sleeve shirt, button down shirt that like I put on a while ago, like after my lean bulk, and I was like, whoa, you know, it's like it's getting like tight up at the top, around my arms, around my shoulders, around my chest, but it's getting loose at the bottom. And I remember there was a time when my stomach was straining against the buttons, and up top it was loose. So obviously I've gained muscle, and obviously I've lost fat since then. You know, the same thing with you know, the same thing with pants. Like you put on a pair of jeans and it's like, wow, it's like I could barely get it over my thighs, but it's loose around the waist. You know, typical bodybuilder fitness guy problem. You know, the waist is too big and the thighs are too small. But at least you know, damn, you know, if it buttons up easier than it used to, or if it's loose around the waist, you obviously lost fat around your waist, okay? If your thighs are barely fitting in, they're stretching, obviously you're putting on muscle, at least there. So, like I said, that's kind of bro scientific, but you know, the way your clothes fit and the way the measurements that you take every week are the more accurate method than just looking in the mirror. Because like I said, I mean, depending upon your body image, your mood, you know, who you're comparing yourself to in your mind at that point, a lot of things, that really just changes whether or not you're actually progressing. So, you know, cut out your emotions, just stick straight to the cold, hard scientific facts of what your body measurements are doing, and then you'll know whether you're improving or not. Forget about just the scale, and the scale is a factor, but forget about just using the scale to see if you're gaining or losing, and forget about just looking in the mirror to see if you're gaining or losing as well.